Live, we have head coach Wayne Pivac. So coming to Gareth Griffiths.
Hi Wayne, how you doing?
Good,
Selection, you opened side up making his first start. Can you just outline why you got the nod?
Look, we've been watching him for a while. He's been playing some really great rugby for Leicester Tigers, so form's a big thing. Also, he's been playing a lot of rugby recently, and a lot of our squad haven't. So when we've looked at the selection, we've obviously factored in the amount of rugby some players have or haven't had. So look, we're excited for him getting the opportunity. He's trained well, so I know he's looking forward to a special moment.
South Africa, it's always baptism of fire for his first game, isn't it?
Yeah, but as I say, he's been playing in a pretty tough competition week in and week out, and I think he's proven himself now over time at that level. And now is we think the time to expose him, and he'll learn a lot, I'm sure.
On the other end, you've got Daniel and George Northback, a lot of experience. They've been out for a long time. How important is that in this sort of game?
Yeah, pleased to see them both back in the environment. They bring a lot of leadership. They bring a lot of experience, obviously, and they have been missed in the environment. So, you know, a year's a long time to be out. They're both really, really excited. They're bringing a lot of energy to training, as you'd expect, and a lot of rugby knowledge. So, but we're looking forward to getting them both out on the park, and I'm sure they're going to enjoy the occasion as well.
Will Rollins back in after being on the bench against Alan Jones on the bench, the role he's not perhaps used to with Wales, just to give us an idea of what the thinking behind that.
Yeah, I think it's just where Al's come from, and I think he's building back into it really, really nicely. He's trained very, very well, and you've got to look at the South African side that we're going to face, the 6-2 split as we expected. They're going to be coming at us over the 80 minutes, and you know we're going to have a lot of experience if we look at our bench to finish the game. So you know we've looked long and hard at who we start and who finishes the game, and we think the balance on this occasion is the right one.
Josh Biddy falling into that bracket as well, because he's been a regular starter when he's been fit for Wales. He
has, and you know, so really we're looking at the opposition, who we're playing, their strengths. Line-out's going to be a big part of the game, I think. And so Dan just gives us a little bit extra at the line-out, and that's probably what's tipped that selection.
The test of facing South Africa, 3 tests in South Africa, is it double? Do you know what that's going to be like?
Oh, look, I think everybody knows what you're coming to. You've got this rich history. We're playing, a lot's made of, you know, playing at altitude. For us, it's exciting. We're relishing the opportunity because we haven't had a summer tour away as a group. So we haven't had that sort of touring feeling, if you like. And if the first week's anything to go by, the boys are really enjoying it. They're enjoying being in a different climate. And so, look, it is a massive challenge. World champions in their backyard too at altitude. So, yeah, look, it's going to be a good test for us. It's going to show us exactly where we are. They're going to expose some weaknesses, I'm sure, and it'll give us a lot to work on going forward.
And the players will be wearing black armbands in memory of Phil Bennett. How important is it that you mark a legend of the Welsh game? Yeah,
you're right. He's been a legend of the game, I think, respected worldwide, and you know, just very sad for his family and for all Welsh fans really to see Phil pass. But look, we'll be doing our best to put on a great performance in memory of Phil and for the fans back home.
And the country where he obviously started the Lions in 1974.
Yeah, there's a lot there, a lot of emotional things which will be buzzing around kick-off time, I'd imagine. But the main thing for us is that we get focused pretty early on, and we make sure that we start the game very, very well. Thank you.
Wayne, sorry,
Go on.
Wayne, I was just going to ask, is Thomas Francis fully fit?
Yeah, well, he's fully fit because he's been named in the match day 23. He obviously had a few days out of training, and again we've looked at who starts, who finishes the game, and we've gone that way for this week.
Yeah, same question with Wayne Jones. Is that a selection call, or is he carrying something?
Well, it was a really interesting discussion, but Wayne hasn't obviously played for a long, long time. He's been out for months with that knee. He's getting back into some really solid training. So he's probably just been caught up a week short, really. But he'll certainly be pushing hard for selection going forward.
Scrum half is a position that's been a bit of a carousel for injury reasons as much as anything. Hardy gets the nod. What are you hoping to see from him this time up?
Yeah, pretty much what he did against England in 21 and what he did off the bench against England. You know, he needs to play in some big games and start. We've got a World Cup around the corner. We all know what Thomas can do, and he's coming back from an injury himself. So again, probably in a week's time, that selection may be different. We don't know. We'll wait and see how this game pans out. But certainly we know how well Thomas can play, and we're expecting him to inject something from the bench.
Lewis gets a nod over Alex Cuthbert on wing. Obviously, he was put out at the side of the Six Nations for a little while. What have you made of his reaction at Costa over the last few weeks and months, and what are you hoping to see from him on Saturday?
Well, he's certainly looking in good shape. He's trained well. Probably the best shape he's come into camp, to be fair. He's worked hard. Alex is just probably a week short as well from a niggle that he's had with his back. So, but what we want is we want a fit squad going forward, and we want a lot of competition for places, and we're starting to get that. Certainly, it's been a very, very good training week. The boys have enjoyed a couple of days just to settle in, and then they've worked really, really hard since Monday. So they're excited. They understand the challenge ahead of them, and you know, there are some disappointed boys clearly whenever you name a side, but they've all rallied around each other and are now pushing each other on for a big performance this weekend. Thank you.
Hi Wayne, you said you were expecting a 6-2 split on the bench. That was obviously confirmed on Tuesday. Did seeing the South African side being in early influence your selection?
No, not at all. I think it was pretty close to what we would expect. 6-2 split, it's not the first time it's happened. It's quite normal. And it suits South Africa's game, and they're world champions. And so they're going with what they know and what's been successful, and why wouldn't you? Challenge for us is to be able to match what's coming so that we can put our imprint on the game.
How big a difference do you think a fully fit George North can make, not just to this test series, but to Wales over the next 6 months?
Look, I think George will get better and better as time goes on. It was a serious knee injury that he had. It's taken him a while to get back into the game. He's had a few games under his belt at club level. He's had a bit of a break and he's back into it. So, look, I think for George, it's 13 is where we see him. And I would expect him to get stronger as the tour goes on.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, please.
Wayne, Mark Greenaway from Independent Media.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah, both teams haven't played for a while, but the Springboks are probably going to be rusty. Do you see this first game as an opportunity to knock them over?
100%. I think our focus is on the first test for a number of reasons. We can't get ahead of ourselves. We've got a job to do over the 80 minutes. But you did right, and both teams have come together. We haven't had a lot of rugby for a lot of our players because of the performances of the clubs in the URC. So they have come together from an array of countries. So for us, it's probably a level playing field. And other times of the season, it may not be when we come together for our autumn. So for us, we're excited by the fact that it is pretty much a level playing field in terms of time together as squads. So it makes the first test a vital one for both teams.
Any other questions? Yes.
Hi, Wayne, Subsist from Sport 24. In terms of some of the matchups, Springboks are missing Andrew Pollard, Billy's on the bench, so Peter stepped into it. Do you feel that without those 2019 Rugby World Cup winners, your team has a little bit of a closer edge when you look at 10 even, where Dan Villiers up against Alton because they control
They're obviously class players that you've mentioned, and any side losing class players, it hurts. But what I would say is South Africa have a very deep and rich pool of players, and we've got a lot of respect for their entire squad. So no matter what combination goes out, you know, from our point of view, we've got a job to do, and we have to make sure that we're very, very good in the physical area of the game, because we know no matter what names are on the team sheet, we think we know what's coming. So, look, yeah, there's a few guys missing. There's a couple of guys missing on our side. Look, at the end of the day, we've got to focus totally on this first test on ourselves and make sure we get our game in order.
In terms of combating how the Springboks played, did you take anything away from some of the defeats from last year, and particularly teams like Australia, who were very attacking in the third Lions test, where Ben Russell came on for the Lions, looked quite sharp in terms of a different game. Did you sort of make note of those kind of changes?
Oh yeah, look, everybody does their homework. We know different. We've looked at South Africa. We know what we think is coming. We looked obviously at the last time we played them. It was wet conditions that evening, but you know, we're at altitude in the first test, sea level in the last test. We factor all those sorts of things in, see how we've trained in the conditions that we've been in. And ultimately, come Saturday, we've got a game plan fit for this venue, for this opposition, we think.
Any more questions? Yes.
Hi, Wayne, Stephen here from Fair Sports. The Lions being pretty close to beating the Springboks last year, and obviously quite a few players in the squad with you guys now. How much do you think there's an extra motivation for those players to try and prove that they might be able to go all the way this time?
Yeah, well, it is a different team, isn't it? There's 3 other countries missing, so it's not really that relevant for me personally. It's about our group and how we can improve our performance from our last outing, which was a poor one, and it's been well documented, and rightly so. So really, it's about the players coming together as a Welsh group. There is motivation there from those that were on the tour, clearly. They want to go out and play well. They know what's coming. So it's great having that experience for some of our players to share. But ultimately, it's this team that's taking the field of 15 that have to get it right and have to play well. In particular, I believe in that first 20 minutes, we've got to make sure that, you know, we don't let South Africa get away on us. We've got to make sure we get ourselves into the game and get accustomed to those conditions as early as we can.
And then following up on some of the Springbok selections, Alton Yankees are obviously quite a different player to Andre Pollard, and Joachim was said that he was selected for a specific reason rather than just Pollard not being available. Are you cautious that there might be a slightly different approach in Springbok? Would you?
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, we prepare for what we think is coming, but we have to be able to adapt. And whether that's a conversation on the park within the first 5-10 minutes of the game, we'll see how South Africa come out and play with the personnel they've got. But we've got to be ready for everything. We've got to be ready for them to move some ball, but also, you know, that doesn't change the fact that no matter what they present us with, we've got to be defensively on our game. We've got to be disciplined, and we've got to be very, very physical.
Okay. So we will conclude the live press conference there. I'm afraid I don't have time to take any questions from Zoom.